Are we rolling, by the way?
You're good to do.
That was the best intro we've ever done. Here, you need to get this right here. Hey,
High production.
everybody, welcome to the fourth and a very special episode of Real Talk 447. I'm Jeff Emig, of course, Ricky Carmichael, coming to you from the Tallahassee Taj Mahal. Ricky Carmichael's house. This is his.
It's for sale.
What do you call this? The rec room?
Yeah, this is
Championship bikes, trophies, memorabilia.
Dolls.
Doll. I don't know what is that thing is.
A Japanese fan gave me that doll actually. So that's when I used to highlight my hair.
When you had like the frosted tips.
Yeah, frosted tips. That's a little more than frosted tips.
But dude, there's so much that makes this show special, right? So not
There
just
is.
that we're on location for the first time. So your mic is actually going to work and be audible.
Well, I bought a mic for the last show, and what I realized was my new laptop has a USB-C
I don't even know what that is.
jack for it, and I didn't have the adapter. So there you go.
Well, so we also have a very special episode because we have our first guest ever.
I'm your first guest.
Our good friend, yeah, Sam Jones, who's a producer, director, host, of course, your show Off Camera with Sam Jones. Great name, by the way. How'd you come up with that?
I got too tired of
He's
cameras.
so humble, so humble.
Should we tell the people how many championships we have between?
Well,
the
I don't
three
know.
of
How
us?
many do we have? How many professional motocross, supercross championships do we have, Sam?
I think 19 between the three of us,
Not-
right?
There you go.
That sounds about right.
That's
impressive.
That's
So, yeah, it's awesome. Sam, thank you for being here. And
Yeah.
thank you for the bolognese sauce and pasta
You're
you made
welcome.
tonight. So we had an amazing dinner upstairs. Sam is here for Camp Carmichael and the
That's
Daytona
right.
prep. Even though you're not racing the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross at Daytona,
Well, I have 2 more days in the camp. Maybe by then I'll be ready to race.
the plus 50 class.
I'm telling you, his confidence. His
was
confidence
low today.
No, it was rising. But you were beating yourself up too
Yeah,
much.
well-
He's rattled.
Dude, we're driving
confidence-
home. Actually, it was kind of a buzzkill because we're driving home. Dude, he's all depressed, bummed.
Well,
We're having to talk you
You
off
have
the
to
cliff.
understand
had-
that I'm surrounded by future pros, serious kids, a third of my age, homeschooled. They ride 6 days a week. I mean, I think some of these kids I actually watched in Vegas last year.
Yeah, no,
Probably.
for,
And you're
for
telling
sure.
me, oh, there'll be a bunch of amateurs.
I mean, so the oldest kid at the camp is probably 20. The medium age is, I'm going to say 15, maybe even 14. And Sam, you're just a little above that.
just a little.
So, but we appreciate you being here, like not just for the camp, but also for Real Talk. And we're going to dive into your story with motorcycling and tell
Excellent.
some stories and all that. You down with it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a-
yes, and?
Yes, and.
Yes, and we learned
We're
something.
improving.
We learned something today from Sam, the professional that he is. But yeah, we're excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
and thank you for being a host.
Yeah.
I've enjoid the Carmichael Taj Mahal.
Have you enjoyed it so far?
It's been fantastic.
good. So
we got it. We also got the, what was it? The Moscow
The Mule Hito.
Mule Hito.
yeah, it's pretty good. It's tasty. Yeah, we're excited. There's a lot of build-up. We got some great stories to tell this weekend or today on the podcast, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Some listener questions, of course, but we want to dive right in and talk about Supercross. So you were in Atlanta.
I was.
With Ricky last week.
Yep.
Calling the race. Once again, interesting race on the 450 side, but also 250 was that East-West showdown, which was pretty interesting. But we've got just these amazing statistics that I want to dive right into from the Supercross Research Department. So if you want to know anything about stats and all that have to do with Supercross, at SX Research Department or something like that on Instagram. He posts all kinds of cool stuff if you're a stat geek like I am. So 6 weeks ago, Webb's win percentage was 0. He hadn't won. Right?
Yep.
Now he's at...
In the premier class.
In the premier class, yeah. He's at 250 titles. Now he's at 14.71% win percentage. Just like that. And it's like he's a seasoned veteran that has all the confidence in the world. He goes from no wins to kicking everyone's ass.
Think about this. He's won 5 races. We have had
Out of eight.
Out of 8.
Yeah.
So far, we've had 8 rounds. He's won over half, obviously, and it doesn't seem like that, but he has when you look at it, because it just doesn't seem like that. I look at him like, dude, he's got 5 wins, and he's slowly building that win column up.
Yeah, and we're only halfway through.
Yeah. Just bad.
When I lucked out and won the title in '97, I only won 5 for the season. And we talk about how competitive this season was. '97 was really competitive with a bunch of wins. This year is competitive for different ways, right? The points totals are really close. We'll talk about that in a bit, but it's pretty unexpected. I mean, obviously, right? So you're a big fan of the sport.
Yeah.
You watch the races, go to Anaheims and stuff on the West Coast. I mean, did you expect that?
No, and it's surprising that the guys that everyone talked about at the beginning of the season, Tomac, Roczen, Musquin, Tomac has 2 wins, Musquin has none, Roczen has none, and the question I have for you guys is confidence that big of a factor that a guy like Cooper can win a race or 2 and all of a sudden feel like he can just dominate these guys?
Dude, it's everything. So we talked about on the way home from the farm today about confidence. Remember when we were critiquing
When I
your
had no
style,
confidence?
how you were leaned back, and you're like, well, I look back, I'm leaned back, and we talked about it's about commitment, right? And when you watch top level riders, they're so far forward over the bike, and it's confidence and all those sort of things. That's this whole sport, I'm convinced, and how you get that confidence is really hard to come by, but once you have it, it's everything.
Well, and you believe that you can win. I think he knew that he could win, but I don't know that he believed that he could win at the elite, in the premier class of Monster Energy Supercross. I really, truly believe that. And, leading up to the series, I always had a sneaking suspicion or a thought that, he's on a new program, new training program, new team, the whole bit, and he just needed a little bit of fine-tuning. And I thought that there was a lot of potential there. I really thought that. I felt that. And I'm like, man, I think he could be pretty good.
Yeah, he wasn't on my radar to start.
He made the most competitive yet.
Sorry, Coop.
Really?
Well, the Monster Energy Cup, what was it, 4th?
Yeah,
maybe?
but that was just...
Maybe?
See,
I'll get on the research department for that.
Yeah.
The 4th, 5th, something like that. Like, oh, this is better. Like,
yeah, but
maybe
it takes
it's a good change
time.
for him.
It takes time. So he's in this new program. Monster Energy Cup wasn't a true telling of where he really was.
Right.
So if he made the switch. So what do you say? Most contracts start, the week after. Most new contracts start the week after the last national or the Motocross of Nations, whichever.
September.
Yeah, September or October 1. You can get an early release and out of your existing agreement and move on to the next. It works well for both manufacturers. You can kind of the manufacturer that you're leaving, they can kind of turn the page, and they can work with their new guy, so on and so forth. And you can work with your new team. So he goes to Monster Energy Cup. So essentially, he's only 2 weeks. Let's just say he started his new ride in
Yamaha
October.
450 to the KTM 450. As I understand, those bikes, I think, feel quite a bit different, right? Yamaha has that engine design that's reversed and all this, and the weighting is different, and then the KTM is a steel chassis. I mean, I feel like when we work so hard to kind of split hairs and like make little minor improvements, going from the Yamaha to the KTM are probably as far apart as you can get.
Yeah, so the Monster Energy Cup wasn't a real showing. He hadn't been on the program long enough. He hadn't had enough time on the bike. After that, I think, is when the guys really went to work. I believe that, and I know what the program is from the training side. I mean, I have an idea. Some of that program of what it was built on was a lot of the stuff from me. I mean, there's no secret here that Eldon and I, we worked together for 7 years. I learned a lot from him, and vice versa. You know, that's no secret. So the accountability and everything that goes on there is just what Cooper needed.
He had a swagger in the 250s that I think people were probably afraid right when he came into the 450s that he he was going to continue that.
Yeah, and then he shit the bed.
And then he didn't at all.
It
Whether
was
it's
like,
the bike or the
he's
training.
He's going to be one of those 250 guys that not only is a champion, but the history has shown there's been some two-time 250 champions, unfortunately, that have failed to win a single main event, not even win the title, but failed to even win a main event at the title at the top level. And so it was like, is he going to be one of those guys?
Right, and now I think he's back to that guy in his head. Plus, he has the training and the bike.
Yeah. He has the full package, you know, and there's a lot of comparison. We ran a graphic, I don't know, it might have been in San Diego, just comparing stats. It took me, you know, I finally won the Monster Energy Supercross Championship on my third try.
Third year, yeah.
Third year, so it takes time. You know,
That's
not
what
everyone is going to come out and kill it the first year. So.
Well, and the stats for the 250 class are the same. All these team owners that own 250 championships, the stats are overwhelming that a third-year rider, that's usually his peak year.
Right.
And it's interesting that now it's kind of like, I don't even know what year it was for me to win the 450 title. I never won the 250 title, but it was like, let's see, 92, 3, 4, 5. I don't have enough fingers. So I don't fit into that third-year mode. But it's his third year, and that's what's producing the
Well, I have a
results.
question for both of you guys, which is, when you are the guy in the lights bike class, and then you come up, does it take a while to sort of feel like you are one of them? Like, did you have people you looked up to, and it took a while?
Well, he looks up to everybody.
Well, from a stature standpoint, you're talking about. Yeah.
This guy just can't help it. He just can't help it.
No, but you know what I mean? You come up, and these are the guys you've been looking up to your whole life, and then you're racing against them. Is there an adjustment where you feel like I belong?
I don't know that it's for me, I don't know that it was an adjustment, but you're like, dude, these dudes are badasses. Of course, absolutely, because I really enjoyed so many guys watching them and looked up to them just for different reasons. Each guy for different reasons, whether it was Jeff, whether it was MC, whether it was Jeff Ward, whether it was Damon Bradshaw, whether it was Matasevich, all the Johnny O'Mara, David Bailey. You look at them. When you look at them all, I don't know that I necessarily had a favorite because I liked each guy for their own way. Whatever their sort of flash was.
You should be a politician.
Well, maybe I will in my
run for governor of
Act 3.
mayor of Tallahassee, governor.
I'm happy
Governor
where
of
I'm at,
state?
dude. I'm
You don't
staying out of
want that?
Well, I don't want to. We're not talking politics.
We don't want to talk politics.
No. But
With California
another thing I will say too about Cooper Webb is that not only the program, the team he rides for, he's surrounded by some really good influencers right now. Current champions, you know, his mechanic Carlos, you know, we all know how much success he had with Ryan Dungey.
Well, and he's kind of in the lineage now of like Brian Lunas, Gosler, who you work with, right? Mike Gosler. I mean, these mechanics that, you know, for whatever reason, they're part of that championship formula, and the mechanic is such an important part of it. Like, they're not on the bike, but they are a coach, they're a psychologist, they're a best friend, they're a
really good mechanic.
babysitter.
You know, from a mental standpoint, a really good mechanic. He knows what to tell his rider and how to position his rider to get the best result that he can. So if he knows his rider is having an off night and he knows that a win is far-fetched, he's going to tell his rider, say, hey, you know what, do the best that you can do. You know, if the win is there, take it. If not, you know, just maximize the points the best that you can.
Well, he's the last guy in here slapping you on the ass. You know, when you're on the bike and he can hear you and he's giving you that last little bit of information. He's also the guy that's on the pit board during the race. He's the only person that you communicate with, right? And those little bits of, whether it's words or like that language that you have with the pit board, whether it's lap times or words or like pull your head out of your ass. I got that so many times, like hashtag.
Really?
Oh yeah.
There weren't hashtags.
Like hashtag.
No, they weren't hashtags like that.
No.
Well, it was whatever it was like
was
just pull in now. Or like, let's save the gas, pull off. Like I got things like that most of the time.
Well, obviously
You're getting
you can
lapped,
have,
move out, move to the right safely. That's what I got so many times.
You can have a good mechanic and not win the championship, obviously, but can you have a bad relationship with your mechanic and win a championship?
You'd have to be incredibly.
I don't know if I've.
You'd have to be incredibly mentally sound to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we know that there's not a one of us that's on the bike that's mentally sound.
No, but I think that is something that probably, I mean, even to me as a fan, we don't know the mechanics, we don't know the relationship like we hear about the riders each week.
So what was most surprising for you, Sam, about Atlanta Supercross?
Well, that Eli Tomac didn't really do anything, that Ken Roczen rode around in fourth. I think that for me, watching Ken Roczen have such a hard time getting around Plessinger and needed him to fall, I think, if I remember correctly, it told me that track was really hard to pass, and it made what the 250s did, it made what Adam Cianciarulo did even that much more impressive, because he was able to make passes, but it seemed like nobody in the 450 class can make passes.
Well, the 450 class, let's face it, since we've gone to these NFL stadiums and it's the
Square,
sort of design of the track, it's a rectangle, actually, Ricky, rectangles.
Rectangle, you know.
So, anyway.
4 sides.
You are right. There are 4 sides and a square and a rectangle.
I feel like a marriage counselor right now.
So
he can't help himself.
he never listens to me.
You see, you guys see
maybe,
what I have to
maybe you
deal
two
with.
just need to go have date night once a week.
Well, we hugged it out
Put
last
this
week. We
relationship
professed
back
our
on
love
track.
for
We
each
did.
other.
That's good.
So the last week's show. All right, so I get the point. Okay, so we're talking about Webb's win percentage. Now it went from 0 up to 14.71%. Your top 3 all-time win percentages. Ironically, our man here has been passed up.
By a few
The
folks.
4-time Ryan Villapoto, 44.57% of his 450 main events he won. 44%.
That's
41
crazy.
of 92 mains.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
it's insane.
almost half of every race he entered, he
Almost
won.
half. That's pretty
That's
awesome.
efficient.
And then Ricky comes in second, which was first up until Villapoto came along.
No, you're actually wrong. You wrote it down the wrong way.
Oh, I did.
This is what's so great.
I did.
Dude,
So 40.
he can't help himself.
Okay,
He
sorry.
wrote it
So
down.
Villapoto.
Did you want me to
sorry.
correct you?
Yeah. So Villapoto was 47.74%.
You want me to help you out again?
Ricky was 40.
4 sides, triangle,
41.7
or
is Ricky.
rectangle,
those aren't
square.
even the right. Those aren't even the right stats.
Here, I got
Neither
him right
one of
here. This
those.
is why the CEO gets
Okay,
involved.
so
right here.
Villapoto won 41 of 92. Do the math at home. Come on, kids, study.
Ready?
We're doing-
Let me explain so to you. Okay,
Shit,
Ryan
I hate
Villapoto
this. You don't know how bad I
won
hate back
41 out of 92 starts with a 44.57%.
So I got that right. Okay, you are at 41.74. That's a typo. I got fat fingers. So Ricky
I
is
knew
at
you were
41.
colorblind, but you might be number blind.
I'm colorblind when I'm reading.
I
black
won
and white.
48 out of 115 starts. My win percentage is 41.74%.
which is just a tick greater
That's second.
than McGrath's, who was a 41.62%. He won 72 main events out of 173.
Now that surprises me because when you think of Jeremy McGrath, you think of total domination, but he had a lower win percentage than Ricky.
And Villapoto.
And Villapoto. And I guess he kept going in Supercross a long time after.
Well,
he had,
That's what kills.
Well, he did
that's
a
what
little
kills your
bit.
average.
He did a
Yeah.
little bit, but the final stat, this is the one that really killed McGrath, is the, well, I had 7 wins out of 115. But he didn't ride Vegas in 95, so that one doesn't count. I don't know if that, because he qualified for the main, if it counts against his stats or not, but my 6.1% win percentage, I don't know how that affected him, but yeah, it was 7 of 115. So I was like,
You know what,
I was
dude?
just close to
Seven's better than nothing.
It is.
That's right.
And you know the most important? With only 7 wins to your credit,
Career.
you got, in Monster Energy Supercross, you got a #1 plate.
Yep. Every dog has its day,
Yeah.
right?
The most incredible stat to me.
Yeah, and these are all coming to
Go
you from
for
the
it.
Supercross research.
Did you get this one right,
So
or do I need to?
No,
do I
Ricky
need
brought
to
this up.
fact check you.
I don't know. You
Okay.
should. Anyone that watches this podcast or listens, you should fact check it. But Ricky, as we were having dinner and Sam's making the amazing bolognese pasta, Ricky's like, "Dude, you want to know what the really amazing stats are? Is Ryan Dungey's stats." So I said, "Okay, so let's take a look at it." So win percentage.
I'm fact checking, by the way, right here. These are my stats.
That's
so
from the
okay.
book that the research department. So Dungey won 25.37% of his 450 main events, which is 34 of 134. Okay, right? Admirable, 4 titles. But then here's where it gets.
This is gnarly.
This is where it really starts to step up. So his podium percentage, so the time that he was in the top 3 on the podium, 75.37% of the time he was on the podium, so 101 of 134. Impressive, right? His top 5 percentage,
Listen to this.
91.04% of the time he was inside of the top 5.
He only finished outside of the top 5. 12 times.
12 times.
And then it ramps up. You take the top 10.
Well, the top 10, the times that he was in the top 10, 132 out of 134 races, 98.5%. And I look at that and I go, that's a sign that he was one of the smartest racers of all time.
Hey, 2 times out of 134 races, which is more than we raced. That was 19 times more than we raced. He only missed the top 10 twice.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And you would think the bike would break more than that, right?
You're obviously not getting free bikes from KTM.
Well, but you know, a flat tire, a something.
You're not sponsored, are you?
It just doesn't make any sense. There's someone to run into him. It doesn't make any sense that you go top 10. I want to know what happened on the 2 races where he wasn't.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
What?
Well, shit, he's one of the 2 riders. You never won from the LCQ, right?
In the 125, now 250 class, I did at New Orleans,
So
1998.
Dungey's one of the McGrath won Detroit one year. Pontiac. That was
the year he beat you.
I was so pissed.
Right.
I'm like, we got him tonight. He's in the LCQ. He's starting way out there, and then like whole shot, he's like there. I'm like,
Clutch move.
oh yeah, that's why he's 72 wins, 7-time champ. Dungey had that when they had the air shock that one year at Anaheim, and the shock like broke or whatever, and heat race he had to go to the LCQ. He wins the LCQ or doesn't even win the LCQ, right? Didn't
No,
he barely
here I
qualify
want
and
to tell somebody
wins it?
this. So he falls down
in the LCQ.
in the LCQ. And this is what saved him, is the electric start. Because he barely,
that today.
especially as many times as you were falling down, you needed this.
And stalling the bike, yes.
We can't
Hey.
be too hard on him because he won't want to ride tomorrow.
Hey,
I already don't wanna ride
so we, hey, when he
wanna ride
first
tomorrow.
started the bike today and we go to take off, ask him what he did in front of everyone.
Stalled it.
Did he really?
It was cold.
It was all I could do.
Can we just say for the people that it was about 47 degrees
It was
outside?
actually, look at
40.
my face. Everyone, look at right here, okay? Dude, my face is absolutely smoked. It was windy. The sun was out. I didn't use any sunscreen, and they got melanoma all over fed melanoma cut out of me. So, they're very irresponsible on my part today.
Are you still working for the Florida Tourism Bureau? Because that was not
No,
a
they
good sales
clipped.
pitch.
They clipped me.
That's not a good sales pitch.
They clipped me.
So be like, oh,
It's a
come to
sunshine
sunny
state,
Florida.
but I love it. But dude, my face is so toast right now. I have windburn. I have sunburn.
Yeah, and I
got-
probably...
You fell a couple times, but there's no way in hell you feel worse than my face feels right now, dude. I'm just telling you.
Well, if it's as bad as it looks, then
Well,
it's pretty bad.
I'm working. Hey, I got to deal with. I'm working
Oh,
with what
my
I got. But,
All right,
That's all you can do. That's all of us are.
Incredible stats there. Good stuff.
all right, let's keep getting through this shit.
Yep.
So, interesting thing also that the research department has given us, the current points with Webb at 199, Roxon, Muscan, Tomac at 177. We got 4 riders within 22 points after 9 rounds. which sounds like, wow, that's pretty impressive, but that's not, this is not the closest four-way battle at this point of the championship ever. So you have to go back to 1985. After 9 rounds, Jeff Ward had 217 points, Glover 207, Rick Johnson 205, and Ron Lachine 204. So 4 riders within 13 points after 9 rounds.
Well, the correct way to would say is it's been the closest 4-man battle for the championship in 34 years. That's
34 years.
That's the correct way to say it.
But in my notes that he says, look, however, the points were awarded slightly differently in 1985. The races were run in a 2-moto format. You probably don't remember. When were you born? 80? You're 10
Don't
years
ever
younger.
disrespect me like that again. 79.
79. Okay, you're a 70s baby. So
When were you were born? 1900 shit?
That was a long time ago. Hey, on that Instagram with you on the mini bike last week, Hart's comment where it said, guess what year this was? And Hart said like 1956 or something. I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
I'm glad you found it amusing.
Yeah. He's so good that way. He's just such a supporting friend.
You know, one thing you guys will understand about my sense of humor, Jeff's sense of humor, we're trying to break Sam in, but if you have to be thick-skinned because they will break you down to the bare bone, and then when they see that you're, we're driving home today we're driving home from the track today, dude. Sam's confidence is in the gutter. Okay, he probably doesn't want to ride. You don't want to ride tomorrow, do you?
No, I want to ride again.
Okay, and
Half
then Fro's just like, you know, hey, I give it to you straight.
You were trying to be nice.
I give it to you straight.
You were trying to be nice. This one was like,
I was in the back seat.
Tough love.
No, he's like, hey, dude, I give tough love. Sorry, and it just grinding him in. I'm like,
there was no love.
I had told
there
him
was
to
tough.
stop. He's not going to want to ride tomorrow.
I don't quite know what sort of personality you have, like what you're going to respond to. So we're going. Surprisingly, he's playing the good cop here.
Yeah, it's good cop, bad cop.
We'll see how it goes. So
okay, so yeah, it is the closest 4-way battle for the 4-man battle for the championship in 34 years. Great season we have on hand this year for Monster Energy Supercross. A lot of talk about the tracks are too easy. I personally think they have a good balance. You know, was there a lot of passing this past weekend in the 450 class? No. Did that suck? Of course it did. But are we always going to have great races like we saw in Dallas, like we saw at the Monster or the Triple Crown in Detroit? No, we're not going to, unfortunately. However, the racing has been really, really good. The suspense, even though there wasn't a lot of passing, for me as a past competitor, Jeff, for you, you're watching these races and you're like, is there going to be a move? So it's like very suspenseful. You think like what's going to happen, and you're waiting for a move.
I agree with that, and I think in the time, I've watched this sport for a long time, and when you guys were doing it, and even into the, into the years even past that, there were 2 or 3 guys who were the class of the class, and there were many Supercross races where there was such a big gap that you knew the outcome unless someone made
there was a big gap a lot of time when I raced. I knew the outcome. Unfortunately, I knew the outcome most of the time. I didn't like it. Like how this thing was going to play out.
Hey, can we go back to Fro's win percentage again?
6.1, is that what it was?
He had a 6.1 win percentage.
Wait, let's look at that another way. That is a 94% loss percentage.
That's right.
94% of the time I did not win. And I was successful.
He won.
By some people's standards.
Out of 115 starts, you won 7 times.
And that was over, so it was over.
But you won the Supercross championship.
I'm laughing, but I'm in awe of his
I got
talents,
lucky.
You did get lucky.
Yeah.
No, but
rather be lucky than good.
To go back to the parity, I think to have in qualifying 10 guys on the same second in qualifying.
Well, a couple weeks ago it was 14 guys.
And on the same second, and to see Baggett up there, and to see Barsha up there this year, and to see, like, I don't know in the 450s if I've ever seen a race where the podium all finished within a second of each other after a 20-minute race.
There's a stat we got to check it with the SX research department, but how close Cooper Webb's victories have been. I don't know that he's ever won a race.
Wow. Yeah, I wonder what his percentage is.
Well, no, he did on the 250s.
I'm talking this year. I'm talking this season.
Yeah.
It's been really incredible just
So
how close. I wouldn't say clutch. It's just been really close.
Well, there's been 2 wins that have been by less than a...
Yeah, less than a second.
Way
Maybe
less than
3.
a second. Yeah. And
Maybe 3.
Well, we got more fun facts. We're going to keep rolling.
Fans.
Okay, let's roll.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Let's roll.
So 2 more fun facts. Adam Cianciarulo is the 19th different rider to get 10 or more wins in a lights division.
Let me check his work one more time again.
He's tied for 15th
Sure he's
with
not-
such back markers. Should I say
See,
back
dude,
markers?
Did you type this?
No, this is research department.
Are you saying
Now
Ryan
he's just
Dungey's
being
a
an
back
ass.
marker?
Yeah, back markers as Ryan Dungey, Marvin Musquin, Mikhail Pichon, and Ivan Tedesco. He's also the first rider to win 3 showdowns.
Yes,
All
he is that.
of his showdown wins are points paying because back in the days it was like a single event at the end of the year.
Right, there were no points.
Back when it was
at
the
the
125
Vegas
shootout.
They call, for you guys at home, they call those exhibition races.
Well, I won the first 2 shootouts, and it's
no one
fucked
else?
because they are not recognized in any stat book.
Is that not part of your win percentage?
It doesn't. Well, that's 125. It doesn't count. But they don't even recognize it.
Sounds like
which
you're
is
sore
totally,
about it.
No, I'm good with it. It's not a thing.
Well, it sounded like it.
You
You're
just seem a little
bummed.
bitter.
Does
Disrespect.
it?
A little bitter.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so Cianciarulo is
No one
also.
else. So everyone must have been hurt that year.
No,
when
we've
you
done
won.
that one. Oh, shit, what happened to our lights? That's what happens when you get this rinky-dink video crew. This is adding to the...
The breaker trip?
but we're going to keep going.
No, we can't.
Showdown points. In 4 starts
We
in
can't.
East-West
Hold
Showdowns,
up.
he has 3 wins, 1 second place, and an average
Oh,
finish of
stop that.
1.25.
Read it over.
I got to read
Okay.
it again?
You always do a cut.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look at LA guys like cuts. We're like, what are those?
Well, he's a pro.
We start,
Okay,
we go
ready?
play,
This is what we're
and
saying.
then we go.
So we're
stop.
back. We're back with you. Had a light malfunction, but here we are. Fro over here, he wants to keep going, let the tape roll. Well, my man over here, Sam Jones, he's like, we got to cut it. So like, dude, this guy's a professional. We're
I
just.
know, we're
That's
way
what
out
you
of our
do
league.
when you have a technical
You
malfunction.
do?
You cut.
Oh, we don't do edits.
You reset.
Real Talk has got a very, very inexpensive edit crew,
It's very real.
which is me. And I'm a motocross rider, so that tells you how good the edits are.
It's very real. I will
So
say
anyway, Cianciarulo's been pretty good. I did showdowns or whatever. So
that. By the way, in professional podcasts, we don't read our texts
I'm
during.
not. Well, I was making sure everything. I was looking.
He's
for
literally
a-
Instagramming.
I was looking for a stat actually.
yes, and
I can't. I'm looking for one for you actually.
oh boy, there's not many.
And not winning ones.
No.
It's okay.
All right, second fun fact: Cooper Webb won his 5th career race just 42 days after winning his first career race. There's some dates on there. I don't know. That's the 2nd quickest in history. Bob Hanna, you know who Bob Hanna is?
Oh yeah.
Hurricane won his 5th race just 29 days after his first career win. So in 77, he started winning, and he won his 5th one pretty quick. So.
Do you know I saw Bob Hanna race at Saddleback one year?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had an XL 250, and I would go to Saddleback on
An
my
XL?
dual sport.
That's a Honda,
I had
I
a
think.
dual sport, and I would before they closed it down when I was a kid.
Dude, that's cool.
Did you ever go to Saddleback?
No, I never did.
You rode Carlsbad?
Yeah, I did. You were supposed
Nice.
to.
It was like loam. It was
No,
like
no,
chocolate
no,
cake there.
no. He wouldn't remember me have riding at Carlsbad one day, but we went there one time. I was riding was it? Yeah, 99, and we had a test day planned that day. Factory Cowie was going, and Pro Circuit was going. We were going to test Motocross of Nations setups.
Oh, I know what time of year this is. That's August.
Yeah.
That was
And
the week-
everything was getting turned around. It was good. We're at Carlsbad, and this guy doesn't show up. And I'm like, dude, everything was getting turned around.
Yeah, the bike was crap, so we were figuring.
Yeah,
things
but
out.
we had turned it around. Like, they brought some really good stuff for the 125, and I know they had good stuff for him.
Was that a typical thing at that time for Jeff to not show up?
No, it wasn't. But like the camaraderie of the team was really starting to come together at the end of the series when it needed to. I feel like there had been some tough talks that had went on amongst the whole group, and I'm like, okay, we're vibing out. And maybe you got it turned around. Was it Millville? Did you do well at Millville?
It was average.
Anyhow, we figured something out. And before we went to the next race, well, dude, he didn't show up at the test. We're like, dude, where's Fro at? And unfortunately, that's when he got in trouble.
That was the week after I got in trouble in Havasu when I got arrested.
Oh, right. I heard about that.
I had some.
So you were busting his
I had
balls.
some
and
CBD oil on me. Some little 1% CBD oil, yeah.
So I have been to Carlsbad. I'm trying not to be a buzzkill, but these are the stories people want to hear about. And
Nobody
yes,
wants to hear about that stuff.
What'd you get arrested for?
Hemp-derived products. Some medicinal.
You know,
stuff.
you were just before your time. Now it would have been fine.
Yeah, it
it's
was
legal.
total-
no,
yeah.
you're about to peak.
Yeah, I was a trailblazer at the time, and people just don't. I was misunderstood.
Yeah, you were.
It wasn't even mine. That's.
But I want to get like, hey, here's what, you know what? This is what I wanted. I wanted to bring this up in this podcast in this episode because I've been getting a lot of heat, and I got to say, one of the guys I really look up to, he told me this. He says, if you haven't pissed off every rider in the paddock before the end of the year, you haven't done your job as an analyst.
Oh wow!
Really?
Does that sound
I like
right?
that.
Well, it certainly sounds right in terms of when you're an analyst, you can't be worried about hurting someone's feelings or worried that if you say something about them, they're going to have a problem with it because you can't be a good analyst if you're worried about that.
That's right. That's one thing I'm learning, and I'm learning quickly. I know you've learned about it. I want to get your insight on it. But listen, am I on the Webb wagon? Yes, I am. But I called it at the beginning of the series.
Yeah,
But that doesn't mean that I don't respect the other guys. But each week that if I just mention him and comment on how he's doing and he's riding well in the race, I mean, he's backing up my theory. He's getting the results.
Let me ask you this. If anyone out of 9 rounds had won 5 already, would that be the wagon you'd be on?
I'm not. I don't think so.
I
But
mean, I
I
would
just
think
like, dude,
you'd
like
have to be.
I predicted that he would be good. I told the guys before the first race started, the week of the first race, I said, there's a chance he could be good because of what I told you guys at the beginning of this podcast. And it's really frustrating for me. I mean, when I say it's frustrating, I'll read something and be like, okay, whatever. But I want people to understand that it's my job to just mention things like, I think this guy's going to be good.
Well, you have to tell the viewer,
Yes.
the listener, what to look for.
And I'm like, these are the reasons that I feel he's going to be good. And he has backed me up every single weekend, and his points lead speaks for itself. Does that mean that I dislike other riders? Of course I don't, dude. I texted Ken Roxon a couple weeks ago. I said he was giving me a hard time. We said on the broadcast, and he texted me the other. I texted him. My son was playing him as his character in the new Supercross video game, and he gave me shit and said, "Oh, at least someone in your family isn't on the Webb wagon." I'm like, dude, come on, man.
So what, Caden saying that?
Well, Caden was playing Ken Roxon. Caden is my son.
And then Roxon hit you.
And I said, hey, dude, my little guy, he loves playing you. He thinks you're awesome. Or I didn't say. So he's like, good to see someone,
Right.
Everyone isn't on the Webb wagon, something like that. But anyhow, dude, I love Ken. We have a great time together when we do. I mean, obviously, when he rode for RCH, we had our sticking points.
Strained a little?
Yeah, it was strained. But I still like the guy. I like Eli Tomac. I like his family. I like what he represents. I have no problem with Marvin Muscan.
Dude,
What they don't understand is I really respect them, but it's my job to call it like I see it. And if I don't, tell me about that one article, because I called Jeff and asked him, like, dude, what do you think about this? And the Collinsworth.
Yeah. So a few years back, I'd been doing TV for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, and our producer on the show, Chris Bondo, gives me this magazine article, a newspaper article, and it was on Chris Collinsworth, right, who does Sunday Night Football on NBC.
He's
right? Been with Carmichael. He's a
awesome.
True analyst.
They are an awesome duo.
But the whole gist of the article was that Collinsworth had been an analyst for a long time, and he was like, for years I've been trying to like protect the players because of like wanting a friendship with them or needing their acceptance or friendship with me. And he realized that as he grew older, he's like, these guys, they don't want to be friends with me. I'm just an old has-been. And so so the gist of the story was like, why am I trying to protect these players by kind of not calling them out for stuff that I need to?
Or at the expense of not giving the fans your true opinion.
Yeah. Is it whether it's praise or whether
Right.
it's criticism? And Bondo gave me this article, and it was a real turning point for me. So it was probably, of my 12 years, it was probably, let's say, year 7. And I think that I probably had a hard time with that because David Bailey, who called a bunch of my races back in the 90s, I look back on it now, he was telling it like it was. There were some things that I'm like, well, I don't know if I would call the race that way. That was David's style. But I kind of seen the point of it. And once I, really kind of the last rider that I was really close friends with was Michael Byrne. And what was his last year? 08? Oh, your last year was 07? Was it 08 or 09? So right around that time, then Ricky retires in 07, does the half season. And after that, I certainly have riders that I'm friends with, and maybe I'm closer with than others. But your job as the analyst is to tell it like it is. And Ralph Shaheen, our partner on the show, is like, dude, is what you're saying true? Are you making some shit up and just being an asshole? Or is what you're saying true? And if you just say, okay, this is my opinion, my analysis, my this, my that, then, and it's like, if it's not, like let's say I was calling Ricky out for something, be like, okay, so it's not, so why don't you explain to me how I'm wrong? And if they can't, well then you're doing your job.
And look, this sport is filled with guys in their 20s, and we were all in our 20s, and it's certainly a different perspective on self-awareness and on our abilities, and it's very hard to hear criticism in your 20s, I think.
Well, and we talked about how confidence was so much of a part of it.
Yes,
and you got
and you need
me
that.
or Ricky criticizing you. Like
Right.
you don't need, like we're fragile.
But as an analyst, your main job is to say, I want to be on the right side of history because this sport is, one of the beautiful things about this sport that I love is that people love the history of it. And so you are doing a disservice not only to the fans, but to the sport if you're an analyst and you can't be honest about it. And the point I made earlier about any rider who won 5 races so far this year, I would be on their wagon too because their results would say...
Would you have been on my wagon in 97?
Absolutely.
5? So 5, then you're like, okay, I'm...
Well, 5 out of the first 9.
No, I was 5 out of
right,
like 15.
But Webb is 5 out of 9, which is like a 60% win percentage so far, and you'd have to... You'd be crazy not to respect that and say this person has figured something out that the rest of the field hasn't.
It doesn't. And it doesn't mean that there's Muscan, Roxon, and Tomac. They can come back and win it. I'm not saying that they're not going to. You know?
But you believe that he's legitimate. You believe that Webb is a legitimate
You should answer that text.
contender.
Yeah, and that's all I'm trying to say. And
Right.
I look, and I think it's just because of my competitive nature, I look deeper. I look deeper into the situation. I don't look at just what the viewers see on TV. I have an idea of what they're going through in the background and in the trenches.
Because this guy is all about the gossip. Like I'm so much, like I was always about like analyzing what's happened. He's all about the before. He loves, like when it's silly season for contract talks between him and JH, oh dude, they know everything.
Well,
loves
listen, as
the
a
stories.
fan, to have
your
Ricky
thing.
in the booth and to hear what he really thinks about these riders, if it's his true opinion, that's the most exciting
Are
thing
you
as a
gonna, are you gonna
fan.
let it fly?
Because you've been there. You know what's going on. You can see things about what these riders are doing that we can't see.
Is it time to criticize anyone right now? We're halfway through. Any criticisms? I mean, you know, save it for the NBC broadcast from the World Center of Speed. But
I mean, no. I mean, everyone's doing what I expected them to do. Honestly, I thought Ken and Marvin would have had a win by now.
yeah, for sure.
I really believe that. But the thing is, I like them all for their own reasons. But I also maybe I criticize them a little bit and really tell it how I see, and they don't like that, and some of the fans don't like it. But that's my job, dude.
Here's a question for you.
Yes.
Because this season's so tight, because any of these people could win a race, Roxon could have easily won a few races this year, Musquin, they're all capable, which is not a thing that we've had in the last several years in Supercross. We haven't had this many people capable. So my question to you is, what does Webb have that's different? What's his edge right now over these guys that have won races, have won, well, Anderson is out, but who've come so close to winning championships like Tomac or like Musquin or like Roxon?
Well, that is a great question. And compared to the guys that he's racing against right now, other than Chad Reed, and he has multiple championship. Well, hold up. So in Supercross, Justin Barcia has two 250 championships.
Two lights championships.
Cooper Webb has 2. Chad Reed does not, but Chad Reed is a multi-time.
Chad Reed won.
Chad Reed has
250s?
No, remember
Just
he raced
one?
2002 and then 2000. He moved to the 250 in 2003, which is now the 450. So he knows how to win titles. He also has outdoor championship. So I just feel he knows how to win titles. He knows how to manage races. He knows how to put himself.
He knows how to manage races. He
knows-
showed that by these close wins this year. Like that's mental.
Is there anything having to do with maybe he hasn't had a big injury yet as well, or no? No, that's not a thing. I haven't had a big injury yet either today. I had a small injury.
Yeah. Well, your pride was shaken today.
My pride was definitely injured.
confidence, but well, we hope that tomorrow's gonna be better. Maybe the sun's gonna be out. Maybe a little warmer. So
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely. I hate to break it to you. It's not going to be any warmer tomorrow.
it's not gonna be warmer?
It's not going to be warmer till Thursday. So.
All right, Sam. Since
Yes.
you're a guest.
Yes.
Wait, have we already gone through that page? Here, I want you to read our first listener question.
Okay.
And this is some of this is
let's
kind of
see.
paraphrasing because people started sending me questions and it's like an essay. So I just kind of picked out the main question.
You condensed the question
Yes.
to the essential facts.
It's a
This
podcast.
is Chiefif Moto on Instagram. Who is the craziest, most wild rider you hung out with off the track?
Off the track.
So this is sort of a Havasu question. Havasu
Rider.
mindset.
Off the man, there's so many crazy dudes that like were actual riders that
Who stands out? Who's the guy that you were like,
Denny
I
Stevenson.
have to go back to the
Denny
hotel?
Stevenson, who's former East Coast 125 Supercross champion, one of my best friends. That mofo was still
Send.
full send. I went sober after his bachelor party for a year. That's how much. I woke up Monday morning in Vegas. It's like, nope.
Done?
Nope. Time to make some life changes.
Really?
That was around the same time I didn't show up to Carlsbad. Yep.
How about
So
for
mine's
you,
about Denny
Ricky?
Stevenson for sure.
Who was the craziest guy you hung out with?
And we're going to have Denny on the show, by the way. We're going to bring him on for story time, for sure.
Dude, I'm trying to think.
Well, we only have so how much hard drive we have? How big are the cards we have?
I mean, I don't
You
know.
guys got 20 more minutes.
Dude, you gotta for real?
Oh, okay.
Okay. They have a 4-hour drive after this. So
No,
whatever.
we're good. We ain't got. He's got
Come on,
more
dude.
than.
Did you ever hang out with anybody crazy? I remember
Jeff
back in the
Emig.
days. I remember back in the days.
He wasn't a crazy rider, but he likes to have a good time.
I remember back in the days when you and Ernesto were just young dudes, and you'd come into my tour bus, and you're like, dude, we went to the lake last weekend, and we drank some beers.
I mean, dude, we were going ham. What do you want?
And I'm like literally having one in between the first and second moto, like.
I love how you call it. Dude, we were in his tour bus, and it couldn't just be his bus. It had to be his
my camper.
Tour bus.
My camper.
It shows you how he thought of his career.
Yeah.
He was a rock star.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't want to be an athlete. He was a professional. He fucked everything up. We were on our way to being rock stars.
He came in and
then
said,
he was like,
"Party's
"Oh,
over."
let's be professional athletes," and I was like, "Time to retire." I'm looking for the.
You were John Daly. He was Tiger Woods.
That's right.
Okay,
this is a good question.
So
Here,
listener
the second
questions,
one.
Carmen. She's a big fan, by the way. Carmen's fantastic.
I think this is a question for Ricky. What was the one piece of equipment available to riders today? What is the one piece of equipment available to riders today that you wish you had during your career?
Well, that's a great question, Carmen, because it's not just one piece of equipment. There's two. I wish we had Lit Pro and the data to help me be faster, show me the fast line so there's no questioning. I mean, back in the day, we tried to sort it out with just stopwatches. So,
hey, and Lit Pro, by the way, hold on. Lit Pro is available. I'm not sure what it costs, but amateur riders, kids, everything.
It's worth it.
The kids love it because they can map out their thing on their tablet or phone. It's like a video game piece to them. And it's great for all ages and all that. My friends at Lit Pro are absolutely amazing dudes. They make amazing products, so they're a little free plug there for them. Yeah.
There you go.
I need one of those.
I didn't want
that, and then
I don't know if that one counts as high as I would need it.
We're looking at the data, and then it just stops right here for 2 minutes.
Well, I'm on the ground.
It starts going again.
I'm a little. I never got to compete at a professional level with fuel injection. I think that would have been awesome.
Oh, dude.
I wish I could have that.
More than a whole shot device.
I had whole shot. Dude, I'm not that old. I've raced with whole shot devices.
I've never used a whole shot device in a race.
That's the dividing line between your careers.
You don't know what you're missing.
All right, let's go because we got story time with Sam Jones coming up right after this.
Well, this one, I think you've already talked about this.
Can you talk about people in the sport that you didn't get along with and now you do? I mean, that's a no-brainer. It's Chad Reed. We hated each other.
Dude, you're friends with everybody now.
Not everybody. Not the guys that are contending for wins in the Monster Energy Supercross class, 450. That's for sure.
What about who were you not friends with when you were racing? Chad Reed and you guys were like.
Oh, we hate.
Well, he was in everybody's face.
The problem, like, we were fierce competitors. I mean, we wouldn't talk to each other, look at each other. That's how it was then. A lot of the guys, I love the camaraderie between the guys now. Most of the guys, they talk to each other, hang out with each other.
Dude, how about at the Motocross of Nations when we did the Legends dinner? They had there was about 5 or so Motocross of Nations team members that weren't at this dinner on Friday before Redbud. Dude, back to the 70s, like everyone was there.
It was awesome.
I'm drinking red wine with Billy Lyles, who I rode on the 92 team with, and Mike LaRocco. And we're broing out.
I've never seen Fro talk to Mike LaRocco ever, as long as I know him until this weekend.
Dude, we were hanging out, like, and we live by each other now. And, like, it's like Billy and Mike and I from the 92 team. We hadn't been together since, like, that Sunday night.
You guys buried the hatchet? Did you bury the hatchet?
We were good.
That is the point of people in their 20s.
Wine.
The testosterone, the competition. Everyone's angry at each other.
Yeah.
And then you get older and you're like, you know what, he wasn't such a bad guy.
I have a great time with Reedy. We eat dinner together probably, I don't know, every other Friday night before Supercrosses, and we compare old stories. It's a good time. But I look back and I don't necessarily, what made that worse of us hating each other or disliking each other was everyone else. It was the entourages around us.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately. But it's good now. Yeah.
Well, thank you to all of our listener questions. Appreciate everybody using @Talk447 on Twitter. Sorry, this is my camera. Obviously, you can hit us up on @Ricky Carmichael, @Emig47, @Sam Jones.
That's Sam Jones.
Sam Jones, you got questions, send them to him. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Send some his way, too.
Send me some questions for Ricky and
So-
I'll answer them.
We're going to do story time this week. Instead of with Ricky, we're going to do it with Sam. So you're in the Hollywood world with your TV show and a network of friends and everything that you do in the entertainment industry. And some years ago, you had a really cool project that you were working on. And so Ricky and I, obviously, we've talked to you about it, but tell us about what that was all about.
Okay, well, yeah, I met Ricky through my show that I have now.
Well, hold up. I wanted to tell that
Oh,
story.
yeah, you tell the story.
I wanted.
Dude, he's our guest.
No, but how we
I
met,
know, but
I
I
think,
want
is
to
a
tell.
good introduction.
This is a great story.
It involves Ricky, so he's like, this is such a great
Let's
story.
see
It's about me.
here. It was leading up to the 2017 Supercross series. Some guy's like wearing me out. His producer,
Yep.
friend, business partner. Guy calls me. He says, "Hey, I'm so and so, producer for this show." Crawford Shippey.
Yeah.
And great guy, by the way. He leaves a message. Of course, I don't call him back.
Oh, just playing hard to
Shocker.
get.
No, I wouldn't. It wasn't even that. And
You got to
then-
send him a text.
Well,
That's how
and
we'll
then
do that.
like 3 days later, he calls me again. And so I'm sitting on the couch at my house, and I'm with my girlfriend. I'm like, man, this dude called me. It's the second time he's called. And he wants me to, he works for some guy named Sam Jones. And so she Googles you.
Yeah?
Yeah, she Googles you. And she's like, dude, you probably need to call this guy back. So I'm like, all right. And so I'm like,
Because I
all
wanted
right.
you
Well,
on
I had
the
only
show.
been with my girlfriend at the time for my girlfriend. We were together at the time 6 months.
Yeah.
So then I call my JH. We all know who JH is, and I say, hey, dude, this dude's producer called me. What do you think? So clearly, then he Googled you,
Right.
and he's like, man, we should probably try to fit that in. So I called Crawford back, and he told me, you know, we had some mutual friends and how you were a massive fan of motocross and
Yeah.
supercross. So I went and did Sam's show. It was right before San Diego Supercross. I think it was, did it go Anaheim then San Diego?
Yeah,
That year in 2017. I went there, and it was fantastic.
A great style, by the way. Like the whole look of it. And you're
Thank
a
you.
photographer also. Like you like
Yep.
artsy things and all that. It's got this sort of black and white or sepia. What do you even call that? Is it got a
Black and white. We shoot the show. It's called Off Camera with Sam Jones. We shoot it on black and white, and
And it's backlit.
it's backlit. I was a big fan of you, your career, and the sport in general. And, you know, we just took a flyer and tried to call him. And yeah, Crawford couldn't get Ricky to call him back. And I was like, I told him later, I joked that we've had some pretty good names on the show. Did
Did you have to
Robert
call?
Downey.
Did you have to call
Matt
Will Ferrell
Damon.
2 times?
Will Ferrell asked me if he could be on the show. And I had to chase you.
Dude, if you haven't caught the show, look, if you haven't caught the show, DirecTV on Audience Channel, podcast, YouTube, all the other, like everything.
Yep, we do a
So-
podcast. We're on YouTube. And then if you have DirecTV, you can see the show each week.
So many, like, you're such a great interviewer because that, yes.
Well, the
and-
setting-
And then he has these amazing artists that are on there, but it's your style that people really open up to you. And I mean, the ones I've listened to have been fantastic.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So I went down to Sam's studio, had a great time. It was one of the best interviews, probably the best interview I've ever done. And the reason it was, his setting is incredible. You have the best setting. You get in there and it just makes you want to.
I haven't been invited on the show.
makes
Maybe
you
I'll have to
wanna-
be like Will.
it makes
I'll
you-
invite myself on the show.
Well, maybe so.
We'll talk about Havasu.
It made me want to open up, and I felt like it was just the right time for me to tell stories and thoughts and things that I've never told anyone ever in the sport of motocross.
Well, it was one of my favorite shows, too. Not just because I'm a fan of the sport, because I thought I really, I got to
I was
know who
being
you
raw
were.
and real. It was
That's right.
real. It was.
So you were the first Real Talk.
It was real talk. So, anyhow, we're after he's done doing the interview. We go back, we take pictures, some still shots for the magazine, the Gazette that you would do, I would call it, which is awesome. And while we're doing it, he tells me how he got a hold of me. Actually, they got my dad's number. My dad was working, doing something, and my dad was like, no, this ain't, you need to call my son, and he gave Crawford my number. He gave Crawford my number.
As hard as it was for him for him to call us back, getting his personal number was surprisingly easy.
So so anyhow, we're talking, and I'm like basically, I don't know, I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I asked you, like, what do you know about moto, blah, blah, blah. Well, and this is where we're going to go with this. He tells me that, well, do you ever remember hearing about a movie that James Stewart was going to be in?
Be in?
Or star in, whatever.
Well, it was the story of James Stewart.
The story of James Stewart. I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, dude, that was pretty much my movie. I wrote the script.
I never saw it, though.
I sold it, and I had all these people in place, and that was my deal. I'm like, no shit, really?
Yep.
So then we started talking. So then our conversation escalated, and like, dude, you know everybody. You were so in depth. So I had no clue about you. And then when you told me that, I'm like, holy shit, this is unbelievable. So we will talk about this later. So that's why Sam is here today. Since that point on, we've developed a relationship, great friendship. I admire your relationship. And the cool thing, like for me, dude, you've interviewed and done shows with some amazing people. I mean, you name it. You can drop some names. And you just go check them out, and it'll blow your mind who he's interviewed, and they're really fun to watch.
They open up and they're real. They're Kristen Bell, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kristen.
Yeah. Kristen Bell.
Epic. Just.
Yeah.
Matt
Will Ferrell, Matt Damon.
Chadwick Boseman.
Jack Black.
Yeah, we've had a lot of...
Jack Black. Was he a good time?
He was fantastic.
Dude.
He was fantastic.
Did he go like, yeah, or whatever he does?
He sang.
Oh, yeah, he sings like, I want to sing.
No, he's a great singer.
Will Ferrell, how was Will Ferrell?
Will was naked.
No way.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen this, and okay, that's my tomorrow morning.
So anyhow, I just want to tell you, like, that's all cool, but dude, I like you for who you are.
I appreciate that.
I love your
right
demeanor. Like, I don't like say, oh, dude, check out these people that he's interviewed. I'm doing it right now on the podcast, just so people get an idea. And like, you're an incredible person. Your demeanor is fantastic, and I just wanted to tell you,
thank you
on this podcast, like, dude, I like you as a person and who you are, what you represent, and I appreciate your friendship, man.
So you had me on to tell you about my heartbreak story about this movie.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, like,
you
man,
were going to
people...
do the Days of Thunder of Supercross.
Well, here's the story.
Right?
And
I mean,
a
like,
lot of people, I don't think people know this story. And obviously, the whole...
Good. You're not going to have this one? We'll just go ahead.
I wanted it, but go ahead.
James Stewart is always obviously a hot topic of conversation and a polarizing figure, and certainly a mystery. But when I saw his first professional race ever at Anaheim, and it was the race where he fell coming in the first lap, and
the race where he fell.
Yeah, one of the races where he fell. But he got back up and he finished second, and the entire Anaheim Stadium went crazy for this kid in pink gear. And I was like, who is this kid? And I'd certainly never seen an African American in the sport that had that kind of speed and style, and it was just a mystery to me. So I started asking around, and anyway, I got myself a breakfast with the whole Stewart family, and I said, look, I'm a filmmaker.
What year was this?
This was 2003 that I had breakfast with them.
Dude, that's early.
And I said, I'd love to tell your story and make it a biopic, which is basically a story that tells the story of this kid's life. And I wanted to make it true to the sport, because we've never seen a great Supercross movie. And the only way to do that,
they've been
that's
very,
right. And the only way to do it is to make it a true story, so people go, oh, this really happened.
Well, he's an amazing story.
Right.
He's an incredible writer.
So, the crazy thing was I put together a team of people, and I did not write the script by myself. I wrote it as the third writer with two very talented people. But I put together this team of people. Tom Cruise was one of our producers. Michael
I've
London
heard that. Tom Cruise,
was the other one.
Cruise with a C.
Tom Cruise with a C, yes.
Yeah.
Michael London, who he produced Sideways, he produced a ton of movies. And then Danny McBride and David Gordon Green and I wrote the script.
Can we hang out with Danny McBride sometime?
Sure.
Like, can we go have drinks with him?
Real
sometime?
Talk episode 9.
Oh,
We'll have
that'd
him
be
on.
insane, dude.
So,
oh my God.
So the sad thing about this, and it did truly break my heart because I was so excited to be able to tell this story. I love the sport, and because I had this very confidential conversation with Tom Cruise because his son was getting into motorcycles, and I was helping his son get a bike. And I said, look, I have this movie I want to make. I think I have this kid's life rights, and let me pitch this to you. And so we went upstairs. We were working together. We went upstairs, and I showed him the footage of Vegas when Stu went over the bars.
Yeah.
Oh, on the 125?
On the
Like
125.
broke his collarbone?
He did more than that.
And then
That
I
was
gave him
big.
kind of the 2-minute spiel of his life. And Tom got really excited, and he said, I've always wanted to make like a more authentic race movie. He felt like Days of Thunder was not. He wanted to make a more authentic, real race movie. He loved the story, and we were off to the races, and they set us up at Paramount. The two guys I just mentioned got $250,000 to write the script. We were sort of in with the Stewarts. David Gordon Green and I went and lived at their house for a few weeks and interviewed the family, sat down, heard the entire story from Sonia, the entire story from Big James, the entire story from Malcolm, who was
Young
9
at the time.
8, something like that.
Yeah, he was.
He was
He wasn't even
2002.
like. He was barely racing. He wanted to go
he was
fishing.
riding around on
Yeah, but he
on
wanted to
a
go fishing all the
bicycle.
time. He could care
Yeah.
less about
Nope.
racing back then.
And we wrote this script that I thought was really good, and at that time, as you know, James Stewart made a whole bunch of sort of weird decisions. He changed management. He got involved with some different.
Yeah, we had the
lawyers.
same management company at the time.
Right, and what ended up happening was he came out. He toured Paramount on the night of the 2005 mud race at Anaheim. Tom Cruise was supposed to helicopter out to Anaheim and watch the race, and he didn't because we said, don't bother. It's going to be a mudder, and you're not going to be able to tell.
You wanted him to get a real experience.
I wanted him to get a real experience.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It was an experience.
we had a script, and we had Paramount Studios ready to go on a $35 million budget, which at that time was
35 million.
So
Pretty
wait, they
huge.
were ready.
They were ready to make the film. We had a
Like you had passed budgets, everything. It was Paramount's going,
Well,
dude,
and-
we're going.
And what we had, and this is complicated film
yeah.
lawyer stuff, and I'll try to make it simple and quick, but we had a deal memo with the Stewarts, which they hadn't signed the actual life rights agreement, but they had signed a deal memo saying, we want to do this. And so the deal memo was enough for Paramount and Tom Cruise and Paula Wagner and Michael London to advance the money for the script, get it paid and everything, because everyone believed this thing was happening. It was a go, which was pretty quick for that town. And then once we had the script made, we sort of stopped getting phone calls back from the Stewarts.
Why?
They had changed lawyers, and the lawyer had looked at the contract and said, well, if you have a life rights contract, these people could make you into a drug dealer if they wanted to. They could make, and we understood, okay, maybe they don't understand the way it works, and you have to trust people. And so we said, I'll tell you what, we'll come out and do a table read of the script. We'll hire actors. We'll read the whole script, because we sent them the script and we never heard back whether they liked it or not. And we'd call and say, well, you can see we've tried to represent your story very accurately. And,
Hold on. So who, like, if you, at the time,
yeah.
who would have been the top 3 actors that would have played James in the movie? Like, who was
Well,
kind
at
of
the
in your mind?
time, when you think of guys that age that would have been appropriate, Derek Luke was probably at the top of the list, and he was a big actor at that time. And there were a few other names that came across, And then for Big James, you know, we'd looked at some actors for that too. Everyone from Don Cheadle to Cedric the Entertainer.
Cedric is who I was thinking in my mind. I'm like,
Yeah.
Cedric was the
And
guy.
obviously
like,
Don is such a great actor that you forego the physical.
yeah, but Big James is like significantly
That's
a
right.
bigger man than Don Cheadle.
Right. But anyway,
But he didn't have any Grammys. Or not Grammys, Academy Awards.
No, he didn't.
Oscars, that's what I'm thinking of.
We'll
We
get
didn't
there.
make Grammys
We'll
either.
get there eventually. Grammys, Academies,
Oscars,
Oscars.
BAFTAs.
Tony's.
I don't know.
No, so we had this script that everyone loved, and we couldn't get. All of a sudden, this lawyer that they had hired wasn't responding to us, and we offered to come out and read the script. We gave them script approval, which meant that if they didn't like something in the script, we would change it.
Dude,
Yeah,
is
so it
that
wasn't this
a-
life rights thing, but it was like, hey, here's the actual words in the script. You have to
Well,
agree
they
on
were
that.
worried about the life rights, so we said, well, look, and it was actually a great negotiating tactic on their part. We said, well, look, we'll read you the script, and you will have approval on changes, which is very rare. You don't really see that. Usually with a life rights agreement, the studio has a lot more leeway to tell whatever story. But we wanted the family to trust us. I wanted to tell the right story, and
It was a great
Yeah,
story.
there's no need. Like, just tell the story.
It's a
It's
fan. Yeah, the
amazing.
story. You don't
That's
need to beef it
Yeah.
up or
And
anything.
it was such a heartbreak because we felt them just not trusting the process, and then Tom Cruise and Paula Wagner and Michael London, they started to lose faith in the family, and I tried to keep it going, and I would leave voicemail saying, look, we're going to lose Paramount here if you guys don't make a decision, and based on your involvement, we've spent a lot of money on this script. We didn't hear anything, and then the next thing, you know, we heard James had signed up to do that reality show, Bubba's World.
No. But when was the point where it was like, didn't you say they were asking Tom Cruise to give James a call? Like,
Yes, Tom Cruise gave James a call. They
Like,
said
hey.
at one point we heard,
Like-
well, maybe James needs to hear from Tom, and so I
Yeah.
made a call and I
Burned
said,
a favor.
Tom, I need you to do a favor. You need to call this kid. You need to tell him how this is going
that's
to
just-
work.
dude, Tom Cruise calls me. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm like, hey, when do I need to be there? Right?
I'm in Corona. I can be out there in an hour to finalize the script.
So you know, we did all of that stuff, and it was a real heartbreaker because eventually the people involved started to just get the sense that it wasn't going to happen. And funny enough, it sort of fell away, and I moved on to another project, and everyone else sort of moved on. And then I got a call in 2009 when James had gotten an agent at CAA. And the CAA agent called me direct because I'm a client at CAA.
CAA is a massive, for the people
Massive
that don't watch this, they're
management agency.
For all the
management
ballers in
agency.
Hollywood.
Yeah, for
And-
all kinds of people.
And they called and they said, what was this movie? Like, why didn't this happen? And I said, ask your client. and he said, I am going to ask my client. And then he called me back and he said, James, I'd really like you to fly out to Vegas for, at the time, it was at the MGM Grand Monster Cup.
U.S. Open.
U.S. Open. Yeah.
The U.S. Open. And you know, we want to get this movie back on track again. And James wants to do it. And he realizes maybe he made a mistake. All this stuff. So I flew
6
out to
years
Vegas and I sat down with him, and all he wanted to do was talk about who's going to play me and let's get this going again. And I'm excited to get it going. And I came back, and I'm ever the optimist, and I really wanted to make this movie. So I reached out to Tom Cruise and to, you know, Michael London, everyone involved, and they were like, nope, we're not going to put ourselves in that position again. We felt like they were burned because they spent so much money, and they were, our entire production crew, not only was it as good as it gets in town, but it was also in good faith trying to give this family everything they needed. And that was tough for us, and it broke my heart because I had just come off a documentary. I'd made a documentary about Wilco, and I had wanted to move into narrative films, and to make a film about something you're passionate about, you have so much better chance of it being good. And I put in 5 years into that project, and it never came to fruition. And to this day, I'm sorry, because however my feelings or relationships with that family may be, it is a great story, and I'm sorry that it didn't get told.
Well, I mean, what do you think, like, the sport of Supercross and then motorcycling and you know, I mean, the fact that he's an African American in a predominantly white sport, there's all these sort of like, you know, interesting things that would have, you know, parts of the story that it would have told.
The biggest thing is when you have a sport that most people don't understand and they equate it with freestyle motocross, or they.
Oh, you do the tricks and stuff.
Right. Anyone who doesn't understand this sport, I think they're not going to trust the authenticity of a movie, and so you have films where there's these plot lines that are sort of silly. You know, I think the reason this movie would have done well for the sport is because it was based on a true story. So it was a chance for an audience to go, oh, this is real.
Well, the last time an authentic movie on Supercross/motocross was done was like On Any Sunday with Malcolm Smith.
Well, and that was a documentary.
That was
it wasn't
a documentary.
A narrative.
It wasn't, yeah, I mean,
right.
Supercross
and that was the last
Winners
time.
Take All and stuff that wasn't.
Right.
That's not what you guys wanted to do.
Think about the opportunity. I mean, you can never turn back the clock, and you know we shouldn't comment on speculation, but think of the doors that would have opened for the sport.
Well, I'll tell you one fact
about
about films that are put out by studios, and a lot of people don't know this. Usually, the budget spent on advertising and promotion for that film is equal to the budget to shoot it. So, you could assume that Paramount was going to spend between $15 and $30 million promoting the movie, and I would posit that there's never been that much money spent marketing this sport in the history of the sport. So it would have been a way to push the sport in the mainstream. Much like when you went on Jay Leno or and rode your motorcycle.
Kimmel and all that stuff. Yeah.
And I think
when you were on Jay Leno, didn't you race Pastrana or something then?
Me, Pastrana, and McGrath, we raced. Yeah.
Did Pastrana win that?
I don't think so.
Did you win?
I thought I did, but dude, that would have opened up so many doors, and it's a shame that it didn't work out.
And it's a shame for him and his story too. And I think the other thing about that was that his story was still being told as we were writing that script. So it was really about a young kid who went through a lot and was trying to become pro. But I think now we know his story, and maybe it's not as compelling as the potential that he had.
No, I would disagree. I would say that
compelling?
I would say that it's more compelling now. Seeing like, I mean, I was around. I mean, I didn't call the races until 2007, but a majority of his racing career, and obviously just being in the sport that whole time, I would say that his whole career is so dynamic and like mysterious and like misunderstood and like all of these crazy, like to me, it's like they do articles like, where the hell is James Stewart?
Yes. Well,
like, you know where we're at.
I will say
people
that.
Are like, well, that maybe is even, that'd be like part 2.
I think it's a less compelling narrative. I think it's an incredibly compelling documentary.
Okay,
like,
I'll go for
now,
that.
I think now, because it's, you know, forget the narrative, the marketing idea, the idea to have a really in-depth documentary on his story, I think would be a fantastic film.
Like
well,
off
and he's
camera,
in,
camera with Sam Jones?
No, I mean like let's.
No, but he's in a
Let's look at his
generation.
whole
He's a
life.
rider that would have had a lot of cameras on him. Guys like our crew here tonight would have been following him all over the place. Probably kind of at the beginning of that time period where all of a sudden, hey, there's going to be a film crew with you for a day or at this race. Nowadays, there's film crews everywhere that are you know following riders and details. Back in like my day, they were like still going,
Right.
You know, but
They had the megaphone.
there's got to
Okay, we're gonna action.
Guys, action. I got the little plastic tube on the cigarette. No.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
It was a silent
black
film.
and silent film.
I just think of.
Yeah, and then there's a black car that comes up, vroom, vroom.
I just feel like I'm almost in disbelief, you know. And I know there's obviously, we don't know what they, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know what they were going to.
We need to get James on Real Talk sometime to like.
Well, he blocked me from Instagram, so he probably won't let me on. Like he won't come on here. Maybe if I leave and you
You're
guys.
buddies with everybody now.
No, I'm not. I wish I was.
You have a friendship with Chad Reed. Y'all are.
Well, we are tight. We have a good time together.
There's still hope for you and James. Then. You never know.
I hope he's. You know what though? At the end of the day,
story.
I hope he's good. I hope he's good.
Me too.
You know, I met them a long time ago. I met Big James and he was, you know, he had a little red step-side Chevrolet pulling a trailer going to race at Dade City. Then James was born, and you know I've seen him.
You knew Big James before?
Yeah, I mean Big James.
Because he raced, right?
Yeah. James, Bubba was tiny. Like, I don't even know if he was walking. Maybe he was, but he wasn't riding. Big James was racing.
Right.
And then obviously James, you know, Bubba started to race and did really well, had a lot of success. And man, the sky was the limit. And when I hear these opportunities like that, you know, I'm just like, man, what the hell happened? Like, why didn't it work out? I mean, I know at the same time when this was all going down, you know, we had the same management company, SportsLink. It was a management company out of the Orlando area. Some great guys. I had one of the guys that worked there work for me, and he had another guy representing him at that firm. And I just feel like at SportsLink, there's no way they would have let him turn down that deal. It's just too good of an opportunity.
There's a lot of things I think when it
but we don't know
from my perspective, we don't know.
We don't know.
But there's just a lot of things that happen there. Like, why was that decision made? And this is one of those things. It's like the opportunity for a fairly niche sport, and all the facets to James and his career and all these things that we know now. Like, why? Like, how did that not happen? And what would it have done for the sport of motorcycling and Supercross?
Oh, I think it would have brought massive attention to the sport.
You know,
massive attention.
I think it also it brings up a point about when you have kids who are athletes who are turning professional at a young age and trying to figure it out. Their parents are trying to figure it out. There's a lot of people around that want a piece of that. There's a lot of confusion on how to navigate a career, to know what opportunities are real. I mean, in the case of the Stewarts, they may have chosen a reality show over this opportunity because they simply didn't know any better.
Well,
and I think those are hard things to navigate. And you know, I don't want to speak badly of anybody in that family, but I am sorry that they didn't see that everyone's heart was in the right place, and that if there was ever going to be a team assembled that could make that story and do them justice, we had it. But at the same time, I understand. Like, I think when you're a parent, you have a kid that the whole world is excited about.
They were shocked. They were nervous.
They were.
Didn't understand it clearly.
They didn't know the business. I'm a guy from California. I'm telling I think that's a hard thing to navigate.
Right.
Well, I want you to know that if you ever want to do the Jeff Emig story or the Rick Carmichael story, I assume you're on board.
Yeah,
it's a go.
Well,
You'll sign
I mean,
away
I got to read the life rights agreement
That's
first,
right.
you know, because I don't want you to turn me into
we know how
drug
to handle it
addict
now.
or what?
Yeah, I want you to do the opposite. Can you make me clean and wholesome?
Jeff Emig, the Havasu years.
No, dude. Now that's reality TV. Could you imagine there's like a docudrama on that?
Yeah,
that'd be fun. It was a good time.
That's
an
incredible. That's an incredible story, and you know, I appreciate. First of all, I appreciate you being here. Like I said, it's special. And when you were telling me a little bit about this, and you told me when I came on off camera, I didn't know that you were that involved. I mean, you talked to a lot of people.
Yeah,
people within the industry. You talked to a
Bruce
lot
Johnson
of people.
And
Mark Johnson.
Sorry, Mark Johnson and Bruce Serdstrom.
Yeah.
From Kawasaki. I spoke.
You never talked to Ricky.
From
I
folks,
was his competitor. Why'd you call Ricky?
You've spoken from people from which is now Feld.
Yep. I spoke to Purcell Haynes.
Yeah. Purcell Haynes, by the way, is Tony Haynes' father, and Tony Haynes is the rider. Actually, we used to ride together a lot. He was paralyzed in a practice crash during the week years and years ago, and his number was 259. That's where James got his number,
Cup?
259,
and he was
and
African-American
yeah.
as well.
And
Wow.
it's incredible when you were telling me a little bit about this. This is the first time I've heard this story, a lot of these details, and yeah, when you're telling me that, I was like, wow, really? And then when we started this podcast, I'm like, well, Sam was going to be here. I'm like, dude,
Let's tell that.
I think that people would love to hear that, you know?
Well, they're going to have to now.
Dude, I would love to
Listen
talk to
episode
James.
4.
I would
I
love
found
to
that-
talk to James and just say, dude, what's going on? Are you good?
Well,
I mean, I
if you
hope
ever
he
do,
is. I
let
think
me
he's
know.
got-
Let me know.
Yeah.
Well,
he was
give him
thinking.
Sam's
I
number.
still don't know what he was thinking. But you know, I would run into him at races in 2011, 2012, and he'd say hello, and everything was fine. I think he was a kid, and he really didn't know what was going on.
There was a
he
lot
had
of-
people in his ear.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, what's funny is that I found the script the other day, and because I knew I was coming here, I read through it again, and it just brought it all back.
Was I going to be in the movie?
You're in the movie,
Who was gonna
absolutely.
play
Wait, who was going to play me?
Well, okay, so here's another interesting deal, or another interesting detail, was that at the time that we were all gearing up to do this film, James was going to do his own writing in the film. So
Well, nobody can do
Nobody-
writing for
and-
James.
and
There
that
is
was-
no.
Yeah,
And that
he's
was
the
a
fastest
huge-
man on the planet.
huge part of that for
There is
me.
no stunt
Yeah, and
company
he was-
that can do that.
and he was gonna do all the
we have
writing.
a young Jack Black be him. That'd have been awesome.
Yeah, no.
I wanted
That'd
to
be
play
cool.
my own.
Who?
I'm
Well, I would hope that you would
actually,
have done
I'm
your
kind
own
of
writing
pissed
too.
at James for not taking the deal because I want, dude.
I was hoping everyone would
Probably
do their
have
own
the
writing.
royalties. It probably cost you a couple $100K.
And you know, at the time we were talking to, at the time it was THQ, I think,
Yeah,
right?
THQ.
And
Toy headquarters.
and we wanted to be able to film at all the races and get real footage, and they
They
were
agreed
on
to it?
board. Yeah.
Well,
it's a shame.
well,
It's
well,
a shame.
we appreciate you
The
telling
film
the
that wasn't.
story here on Real Talk, this exclusive Sam Jones. What was the name of it? Did you have a name?
We
Was
had
that
a name.
A working title? Is
We
that
had
something
a-
you guys use in Hollywood?
We had a
working
title. And it was a working title, and then a TV show ended up being the same name. So we abandoned it, but we called it Supernatural for a while. Because we just
dude,
thought
that would have been good.
that was sort of his
I
talent.
would have
and
watched
his-
it.
Well, I know you would have watched it. But I hope Paramount and mine and all these very important people in Hollywood, other than me, all felt like it was something a lot of people would
Well,
watch.
hell,
you
it'd
never
be
know. I
fantastic.
wonder. I mean, I hope someday we can get one of our athletes now. The green light, is that a word? Like a green light?
Yeah, green
You
light.
Get a
I'll
green
tell-
light for somebody for somebody else now.
I'll tell you a funny story quickly to close this out. I took James to Paramount because Paramount wanted to give him a tour around the studio and see the studios and meet people, and I drove him over there, and I had a brand new car, and
What kind of car? Corolla. Toyota.
no, it was
Oh,
actually,
you were like rider money then. You were
well, I'm a little embarrassed to say, but it was a Porsche, and it's the only one I ever had. And at the time, I was living up in the hills.
Like a
and I had this
911,
little
like-
car, yeah. So we go on this whole tour. We come back out, and I'm chatting with somebody, and James is over here, and I don't see what's going on. And then he's gonna get a ride straight from Paramount
LAX,
somewhere
like
else.
he's
So
outta here.
he's out of here.
Santa Monica private.
I get in my
Halifax.
car. I drive away. I'm starting to drive. I'm looking for it on the hood. He stickered the whole hood with like Fox stickers and he had on my brand new like the
Porsche.
hood, and he'd stuck stickers all over the hood of the car. And
That is great.
Thanks, James.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Don't
He's
make
like,
my
"Yo,
movie.
what is that on my hood?
Yeah. Don't make the movie. Just stick stickers all over my
Well,
car.
Sam, we appreciate you telling the story. You got anything else to say?
Well,
on that?
I appreciate you coming on, and I was excited for people to hear this. I think it's good. I think it's good for the sport, and to just see a lot of things that happen behind the scenes and the possibilities that could have came to fruition.
Yeah.
Fruition?
Fruition.
Dude, you making up words again.
Dude.
No,
I
come to
heard you
fruition,
say.
that is a
I heard you
fruition.
tonight. I didn't say anything, but I heard you say wing, and you meant to say when. You said wing percentage, and not when.
That's my Kansas City twang coming out.
No, you
it
guys,
is
when
just
I said yes and, this is not what I was
Hey, is there
talking
anything
about.
we could do better? on this show? On this
be nice.
Dude, we got to wrap it up. We're running out of
Okay,
out of
we're
media
wrapping
cards
it up.
right now.
Thank you, Sam. I can't wait.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.
And let me just
Great
say-
race.
Hold on, we're not
watch,
done yet. We still
watch
gotta-
Off Camera with Sam Jones. It's fantastic. I'm just telling you, great interviews.
Ted Danson. Who's it this week?
Well, we just had Daniel Radcliffe, and then this week is
if you guys don't know, that's
Ray Romano.
Harry Potter.
Yes, and then we have
And
Ray Romano.
Romano. He's the
I've never seen
animal
Harry
with the
Potter.
big tusk. And what's the movie?
Ice Age.
Ice Age.
But he
the-
was on Everybody Loves Raymond, and he's on.
Oh, he did something
Get
besides Ice
Shorty,
Age?
and yeah, he did.
Well, you know what? Appreciate it. However, I gotta say, this is going to be your first time going to Daytona Supercross.
I'm very
World
excited.
Center
Very
of
excited.
Speed. Did I get that right?
So, yeah, the World Center of Speed, yes. I'm excited about it. Daytona Supercross is going to be fantastic this year. We got a really great racetrack. It's going to be rough.
He designs the track.
I
Just
I
full
designed-
You know what? I want to
Did you know
tell you,
what? Did you-
it's my favorite race of the year in Supercross because it is fast. It has that great camera that goes along the side of the long rhythm section, and the lap times are like
Dougie's
a minute
hanging
and a
off the
half.
back of like a
Yeah,
Kawasaki mule or something.
It's
like
my
a-
favorite race of the year each year.
A razor is like
really
getting
is.
thrown off.
Anaheim won because I'm so excited to get the season started, and then Daytona.
Yeah, it's a great racetrack. We got a good track this year. A lot of long lanes. It's gonna be rough. Daytona
Old school?
Supercross always gets rough. No,
Like the year
when
you
we
were
got
trying
to
to
do.
do Pastrana and you slid off into the fans.
No,
like
it
the
wasn't
K-rail?
Pastrana clown. It was Chad Reed, and that was 2005. Yeah, he kicked
It was
my ass.
Wyndham. I thought it was
Dude,
somebody tall.
you've hit
Did
your
you
head too
not
many
hit the
times.
fans, or you hit like you were on the
My
pavement?
bike, I didn't hit anything.
I got a whole week of this.
My
people.
bike decided to go into the
Did you hurt any fans that
the
night?
barriers,
that
like the
day?
bike racks. So
Did you win that night?
no, I think I got second. Chad Reed beat me.
What was your podium percentage? We don't have your podium percentage. but-
So it's going to be a great race. I'm excited for you to experience. Anyone that can go to Daytona, it's one of those races that you can't explain it to someone. You just got to go there to see it. I'm excited about it. It's hard to really outdo yourself each year. So like last year, I thought was a really good design. So how do you better that the following year? It's a balance. You know, you got to find safety, you got to find challenging, you got to find where it races well, can produce good passing, what'll be great for TV.
Well,
It-
and
it's
there's
hard to
other
do.
events going on with the dirt track now, and a lot of constraints. and
yeah,
stuff.
there's a lot of parameters and guidelines that you have to follow with the design where you can't go, and that's the toughest thing. But it's an honor to be able to design a racetrack at Daytona. I'm looking forward to it this weekend, March
me
9th.
too.
It's going to be fantastic.
So I don't know what the percentage is. I was going to get that for this show, and then I slacked.
Well,
with the
I saw
research
what you
department.
did to your percentages earlier,
Six-
and dude, you got it all
6.1.
jacked up.
Okay, well, so I made a couple typos. Well,
Okay.
I had the what is it?
Mule Hito.
The mule
Mule
Hito.
Hito.
A couple of those earlier.
I
but
need to trademark
there's
that.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a pretty good percentage of riders that have won Daytona that have gone on to win the Supercross Championship. So it's probably like in the 60%, maybe even 70%. So Daytona represents, like, it's pretty significant that if you win Daytona, you're kind of the guy. And at this point in the season.
Or if you're leading the points at Daytona, a lot of the times stats show that you go on to win the championship.
But we do have one of the closest, not the.
I think
one of the
I think for
closest.
Yeah.
some stats, I think like for this season, the stats you kind of have to throw out the window.
I
It's
just want you to build
anybody's
loops
race.
So,
that
Supercross,
Eli can manual through
Those were,
again.
that was awesome. What was that, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
That was one of the best. But so, Supercross Research Department, Ricky's throwing all your shit out this week. It doesn't matter. You're going on field
Yeah, you're
knowledge,
done.
experience.
SX Reach Department. You're at Reach
Unfollow
Research
at
Department.
SX Research Department on Instagram. You don't need it anymore.
No,
Just
junk.
listen to Real Talk 447 and what Ricky has to say. That's the final word.
Can I throw in one thing?
Yeah.
Can both of you guys predict a winner for Daytona?
Well, I certainly feel that a track like Daytona caters to a guy like Eli Tomac. It has long straightaways. He's really good on a lot of tracks, but this suits his style because he can get the momentum going. He keeps the front end light, and just he's aggressive. He bulldogs the track, and in my opinion, Daytona is one of the tracks where you have to bulldog it and really take the bull by the horns and muscle it around, rather than being finesse. I don't think that gives you the best shot to win there, but that doesn't mean guys like Ken Roxon, Marvin Musquin, and Cooper Webb doesn't have a chance.
Freaking.
I just said that. I just said that Eli Tomac has the advantage. Did you not hear me?
Back it up and then say, "Oh, but
I'm just well, you know, I should take
Collinsworth.
I should take Collinsworth approach. You know what?
Hey.
I shouldn't stick up for these guys and just call it like it is. Do my job.
I think it was a year ago. I could be wrong.
You're probably wrong.
Musquin was going to win that son of a bitch, and then he went over the berm.
It was last year.
Oh,
I'm saying
and Brayton won.
And
right?
Brayton won.
That's right.
I'm saying right here, I'm stamping it. What night is it? Tuesday night? Marvin Musquin's going to win Daytona. He's going to break out.
That is a bold
statement. But he's capable of it.
So,
okay,
dude, this has been awesome.
Yeah,
this
it's
has been good. I think
hopefully
it's been
hopefully everyone liked the longer.
Sorry, we
longer
went
version.
longer tonight, but we had such great content. We had our first guest, Sam Jones. Check him out on Off Camera with Sam
I
Jones.
think people are going to like it.
Thank you guys.
They're gonna
I'm
love his
honored
show.
to be here.
They're going to like your show too.
I'm honored to be a guest at your house and at
you.
your track. Hopefully, I'll stay in one piece.
We're gonna
If
follow,
you see me on crutches at Daytona, come up and sign my cast.
Yeah. So Sam's still got 2 more days left of Camp Carmichael.
Yeah.
Hashtag Camp Carmichael.
No.
Goat Farm.
No.
What, I missed it?
RCU Camp Carmichael is our Suzuki camp that we do
I
for
don't know anything about no Suzuki
top
stuff.
earning contingency winners who ride a Suzuki. That's Camp Carmichael. I appreciate the plug though, and
Dude,
these
I'm
guys
get in so much trouble.
Oh, you're done.
My
I
friends
appreciate
at Husqvarna
it.
are so pissed.
I appreciate
You're
that.
plugging hashtags for another brand.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Shout out to my
what's
man
the
Jeff
hashtag
Emig
this
for
week?
plugging the Camp Carmichael, the Suzuki.
What is it?
Camp
I just talked to
Carmichael.
Jage this morning.
The RCU.
No, it's not RCU. It's something different.
Goat Farm Daytona Prep. Hashtag.
Daytona Prep. Okay.
All right.
Well, I didn't F that whole thing up. Once again, send us your questions on Twitter at Talk447, Ricky Carmichael, Emig47.
Sam Jones.
At Sam Jones.
Of course. Everything is just Sam Jones is Sam Jones. And come watch Sam Jones on the Sam Jones Hour on Sam Jones.
That's right. It is kind of crazy that my Twitter handle is just Sam Jones.
It is.
It's a fairly common name.
Dude, you're our first guest.
First guest.
We're stoked, dude.
I am happy to be your first guest.
Well,
my
I
man.
don't know if our edit crew, because it's like midnight now, if they're going to be able to add any music to it like we do. But normally we have the Andrew McKeek Band and This Old Lie as our soundtrack. So if we're still going to get that in the show, thanks for listening. Appreciate everybody listening on podcast and watching us on YouTube. So that's it. We're done. Andrew McKeek Band.